In this episode, Shane Yang, that guy, joins us for a deep discussion of the state of the Power Platform community. Hello everyone and welcome to Keeping It Real with Power Platform, where we look at how real people use Power Platform around the world to create awesome software solutions. And today, we have Shane Yang, a Power Platform legend, join us. Shane is the OG of the Power Apps community that helped literally millions of users learn and achieve success with Power Platform.
Leon, you are the best. I'm so excited to hear that you had me here and that you called me the OG, right? Like I feel, I kind of got those rap vibes in the background right now because, you and I, we've been doing this for a long time and it's crazy. So
Absolutely. Not only the OG, you help literally millions of people to learn and achieve success with the platform. So on behalf of all of them, thank you very much for all the awesome things that you did. Speaking of that, one place where we always start about your journey with Power Platform that I know is super long and super interesting. So you want to share with us, how was that journey?
I was a SharePoint guy, right? All those SharePoint books, I can never do it, right? But all those SharePoint books, I did a bunch of SharePoint for a long time. And when I was done with SharePoint, I was like, all right, what am I going to do next? So I went to, I think we sort of called it Tech Ed way back then. This is what, 2017, 2018. One of our dear friends, I'm pretty sure you're friends with him as well, is Richard Riley, right? So him and I wrote one of those books up there together. And so I ran into him like, yo, I hadn't talked to him in a while. Like, what are you up to? And he's like, man, I'm all in on this new idea that's called Power Apps. And I'm like, I've played with Power Apps. They're kind of interesting. He's like, yeah, they're the future. They're going to be amazing. Basically, at that moment in a random bar in, I think it was Orlando, I was like, all right, I'm going to become a Power Apps guy. And so I tried to start making some crazy YouTube videos and it kind of worked out.
I will tell you one thing, Shane. When I was working for a long time in Azure, and when I joined the platform, the Power Platform team, one of the first resources that I used were your videos to start learning and getting up to speed with all the things that can be done with the platform. So I could say that they're really great stuff.
Well, thank you. That has always been one of my favorite feathers in my cap. When I found out that basically anytime someone joined the Power Apps team, like watching some of my videos was like part of the onboarding plan. Like that was just always one of those things that said, I feel like I'm having a meaningful impact, and hearing things like that made me feel like I was truly having an impact.
Another thing that makes what you do, aside of that passion that makes it unique, is also that you're a practitioner as well. You have like a Power Platform practice and you help companies everywhere to achieve success with Power Platform too.
And that's one of the things I always stress in my classes, right? It's like, this isn't an academic view. Like sometimes, people are like, hey, will your class help me pass this test or that test? And I'm like, maybe, maybe not, right? Because sometimes tests are more about checking boxes, right? Where I'm like, hey, this is what I literally built for a customer, right? Like, this is literally the problem that I solved last week. That's one of the things that helps my videos be better is they're not just, ooh, let's look at the shiny thing. It's like, ooh, this is what we're doing with customers with it. And that real grounding, I think, definitely helps a lot of people.
Not only you help educating others, but you have like this very fluid contact with the team where you meet very regularly and you help us figure out what's the best thing to build and to represent all those customers that you interact with. So I think first I wanted to thank you for that. And maybe if you want to share a little bit of how that kind of cadence that you have in which you share feedback and have this bi-directional channel.
So, and it's an amazing benefit, right? It's one of the perks of being Shane, right? Is I have a lot of friends over there. For example, last Friday, Yogesh and I sat down, I said, hey, here's a list of bugs that we're seeing out in the world, right? From the community, right? I went and gathered from the community, here's some bugs that are out there. I provided them back to Yogesh and the team in a Word document. And then Friday, him and I had a call and went through, we fixed this one. Here's our plan for this one. Oh, we need more information on this one. And then, next week, I have another meeting with him. Him and I are a real 2-week cycle. And it's not just about, me being special. It's about me trying to use the info that I'm getting from the entire community to push that back up. And at the same time, Yogesh or other people on the product team sometimes hey, this thing's coming. We want to make sure that we get that out in front of people. What can we do to empower you, right? Your team does a great job of making sure that the things that need highlighted, the things that are coming that are going to be a big impact, they're getting me that early. So then that way we can make sure that we get that in front of people, as fast as we can.
first, shout out to Yogesh. And then second, like, thanks to you, Shane, for bringing all that, for creating that loop where also you could represent all these people that you work with and you learn from and bring it to the team such that they can get that channel direct through you.
All of you out there listening, right? You've probably interacted with Power Apps in some way, Copilot Studio. You know, you see the little thumbs up, thumbs downs, right? And most of us like, yeah, who cares, right? I can promise you, and Leon can back me up on this, Microsoft reads every single one of those.
We do.
Right? Because they love feedback so much. So much so, like, I was talking to Nora, right? She was leading the work that I was helping with at that point. And she's like, yeah, you know, reminding me once again, she read all the thumbs ups and thumbs downs. So she's like, hey, just leave a thumbs up and be like, you know, Nora, this is Shane. You need to do, right? Like, that's what level they actually read these things out, that I could leave her personal notes inside of there to help troubleshoot this one scenario that her and I were trying to work through. Like, just a reminder to you guys, they love feedback and they listen and read it every day.
So, and that's how we learn. So thanks for calling that out, because yes, we really thrive on feedback, and the only way for us to learn is through your feedback. So when you see the thumbs up, thumbs down, any pop-up asking you to tell us how we are doing in Power Platform, rest assured that we will read it. So thanks, Shane, for saying that. Now, speaking of feedback, another great thing that you did also, like recently, is you ran like a large survey about the state of Power Platform.
Earlier this year, we had done the State of the Power Platform survey, right? Once again, kind of using my spot in the community. I pushed it out on LinkedIn, on YouTube, to try to get as much feedback back. And so when we did that, you know, we got a bunch of different things that come in here. And one of the things I want to point out with this before we jump in is that, you know, when we pull this in, this is not a bunch of Shane followers. It's not a bunch of our customers. Only 20% of the people in here were my customers, right? Like, so don't look at this as like just, this is Shane's version. Like, we tried to get a really full distribution, right? We had non-technical leaders, we had business users, managers, directors, IT users who actually build. You know, half of them came from North America, but you know, we got a whole bunch from Europe and really all the different continents. A lot of different company sizes, you know, 500 to 5,000 was a sweet spot, but we got all the way up to the megacorps. So, Leon, you know, one of the things that was said last year was like, you know, Power Apps is dead, low code is dead, right? Like that, the whole AI was just going to erase it. And so some people, without any grounding in reality, ran with those headlines. And so that was one of the very first questions I asked here. I was like, hey, what are your plans for building in 2026? And I don't know about you, but that doesn't look like dead to me.
And this is very consistent with what we are seeing in the numbers on our side. So we are seeing like very healthy growth on the business side and on the growth side, on our side. That correlates very well with what I'm seeing in this chart.
Yeah, right. People want to build more. People are building more. You know, if we go down here, you can see, like, look at how many companies have more than 200 solutions out there. Like, that's insane, right? And Power Automate, right, really was featured very high here. So I thought that was very interesting to see. Down here, you know, like we talked a little bit about the confidence in the solutions, right? And once again, like, that is a really big number, right? Only 4% of people aren't confident in what they're building with the Power Platform. Like, most people are very confident in what they built using the platform. So it's not judgment on the platform, it's what they actually built with the platform. We talked about learning and support. What is their preferred learning methods? As you can imagine, you know, YouTube and free online videos, right? Who doesn't love free? One of the things that made me sad reading this, right, is live training continues to go down. You know, I got my start in training by teaching live classes, right? Like 20 people would come to a little hotel conference room, right? We would learn about X or Y. And those are some of the best connections, right? I'm still friends with students that came through 20 years ago to learn some of that stuff. And I'm really sad that like live in-person training has went away, but I guess that's just the new reality of the world.
But speaking of live though, like it's a good time to remind everyone that we have two large conferences. We have like European Power Platform Conference in Denmark, end of June, and then our Power Platform Community Conference in Vegas in October. So
for sure, I will be at the Power Platform in Vegas doing an all-day workshop to teach people how to build a bunch of cool stuff. So Leon, this is another one, right? We've got governance status, man, talking is hard. Governance status by company size. And I think this is probably what I would expect to see, but probably not what I want to see. I don't know. What do you see here when you look at the kind of governance story around company size?
In general, I see more prevalence of governance in larger organizations, which basically what we want to see is we believe that with managed environments, we made it super easy, and governance now is something that is anyone could do.
Yeah, and I think I agree. I think this is exactly what I would have guessed I would have seen from this chart. The one thing I think that it's worth reminding people as they're looking at it and thinking about governance is also a key driver of how well and how fast they can adopt AI. So if you're behind on governance of the Power Platform and of your SharePoint data, your Dataverse data, your business data in whole, like if you're behind there on governance, then you're going to have a tougher time when you start saying, I want to start building agents. I want to start rolling in AI, because the first thing you're going to say is like, how am I going to manage my data to do those AI solutions well? So this is a chart that if you find yourself on the wrong end of full governance, partial, or no governance, you should probably be working on getting yourself into that dark purple full governance scenario. Like we now have the whole world's trying to build like vibe apps, right? Like I'm going to switch to AI for a second, but the whole world's trying to do vibe apps, and they're building them. They're like, oh, I can use tool X or Y. I can stand up an app to do blah, blah, blah. But then, we're always seeing all these challenges with, well, that got attacked, or that infrastructure didn't work, or that leaked a bunch of data. And one of the things that I truly in my heart love about the Power Platform is I feel good about my data being there, right? Like my data is safe, it's secured, it can be governed, and we can have DLP policies on it. Like we can do that. We have all these tools that we can vibe code, right? Get all those great benefits of quickly building stuff, but do it inside of a environment that is controlled, secured, monitored, governed once again. That's what I love about the Power Platform is that safe feeling it gives me at night that my data is not just on the internet for anybody to go run away with.
You can bring all these new trends of productivity, do it faster, but do it safely too. So we could bring all the new innovations, but do it safely.
Oh, I just can't say enough good things here about building on the Power Platform. And that's why you're seeing so much more out of these larger companies, because they have a mature, confident story to do that with.
Shane, one other question for you. What advice would you give to someone that wants to start building community on Power Platform?
So that's a great question, right? Like, how do you get involved in the community? Best way to do that, I think, is, right, you just got to have a sharing mindset, and you got to figure out what is the best way for you to share, right? Is it standing up a blog? Is it going out and creating a GitHub repository and posting code or snippets or solutions out there that people can use? Is it creating YouTube videos? It's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun. Or, another way to do it is speaking at events and doing, so like we have the Power Platform community call once a month, right? There's all these different community calls that you can get on. You can start to build and establish that community through those methods first. And another big hang up that people always come to me with is like, well, I want to do this. I want to make content, but you've already covered it. Or one of the other, talking heads on the internet have already covered it. That doesn't matter, right? Just because I made a video in 2020 about how to do variables doesn't mean that someone else doesn't need to hear it from you in a new way with a new angle. Maybe they don't like my ugly face and they want your pretty face. Like, you don't know. So if you have information to share, don't fall into the trap of Shane already did it. There's a reason not to do it. I've got 600 videos. I've probably covered whatever you're thinking about, but that's okay. New ways of saying it will resonate with new people. So that's the key, right? Is just start making content, put it out in the method that makes the most sense for you. And then that's how you get going.
This is wonderful. It's basically just don't be paralyzed by everything that exists, but rather go do it and share your voice, share what you have to say with the community. For someone that does that starts putting that content and start participating, any tips that you can give them to become a community leader as you?
Be authentic, be yourself, right? Like, I'm goofy, zany. I make fun of myself when I say things wrong. Like, the editor is currently thinking, do I have to edit that out or not edit that out? Like, that's me. But that, like, Leon can tell you, like, when he met me in person, right? Like, that's still Shane. Shane's just this crazy guy all the time. And so I'm authentic me. Like, so you need to be you, right? If you are rigid and straight-laced and like to do things pixel perfect and get everything going, do that. If you like to tell dog jokes throughout the whole thing, do that. If you want to sit by your pool and tell people about Power Apps licensing, then do that. Like, just be authentic. That's what resonates with people more than a specific style or persona. It's being authentic, right? Like, you can hear, like, I get all worked up and excited about this. It's just who I am. But if that's not you, that's okay. Be you.
That's beautiful advice. Shane, speaking of that, how can people follow your work and learn about all the new videos and new content that you create?
Yeah, I mean, so the easiest thing to do is just go to powerapps911.com/Shane. Out there is a link to all my different repositories, but I've got the YouTube videos. I've got the LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn, there's a lot of interest and engagement out there on a lot of tech content. Like, if I'm looking to bone up on some new things about Copilot Studio, I'm probably scrolling LinkedIn these days, right? Same with Power Apps, Power Automate. So LinkedIn's another great place. So those are probably the main two. And then, of course, coming to see me in person, Power Platform Conference, right? I like hugs. Come get a hug, come take a selfie.
That is absolutely wonderful, Shane. Thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you for watching. See you in the next episode of Keeping It Real with Power Platform. Bye for now.